Picture this. You are sitting on your balcony in Thao Dien, enjoying a cold coconut coffee, watching the Saigon River slip by. You've finally got the apartment looking exactly how you want it. The plants are thriving, the rug matches the sofa, and you've memorized the best shortcuts to your favorite cafe down the street. Then, your phone buzzes. It's a Zalo message from your landlord. The translation reads, "So sorry, but my family needs the apartment back next month. Please look for a new place." Just like that, your peaceful sanctuary feels like a ticking clock.
It is a stomach-dropping moment that almost every expat in Saigon dreads, yet so many of us experience. The sudden realization that your home might not actually be your home for much longer. It triggers an immediate wave of panic. Do you start packing? Do you argue, or do you just accept it and start scrolling through housing groups at 2 a.m. feeling completely overwhelmed?
Exactly. And that panic is completely natural because moving is already one of the most stressful life events, even when you plan for it months in advance. When it's forced on you with just a few weeks' notice in a foreign country, it feels monumental. But today, we want to unpack why this happens and, more importantly, how you can navigate this situation calmly, legally, and strategically.
Right. The key is to shift from a state of panic to a state of preparation, because as unsettling as that Zalo message is, you actually have far more leverage and protection than you might realize. It all starts with understanding that this isn't just a personal favor. It's a business transaction governed by a legal agreement.
Let's start right there with the legal agreement. When that text message arrives, what is the very first thing a tenant should do before replying?
The absolute first step is to open your laptop, find that PDF of your lease agreement, and read it with a fresh set of eyes. Think of your contract as your golden shield. In Vietnam, tenants actually have strong legal protections, but those protections are defined by the terms you both signed. You need to look closely at 2 critical clauses: the termination clause and the penalty clause.
Let's break those down. What should people be looking for in the termination clause specifically? Because I think a lot of people assume that if the owner owns the property, they have the ultimate right to take it back whenever they want.
Ownership of a property does not allow landlords to break a lease contract. In high-end Thao Dien leases, for example, Masteri, Gateway, the Nassim, a formal notice period of 30 to 60 days is required to terminate. A casual text asking you to leave earlier than the contract allows is not valid. The notice period starts only after formal notice is given.
That makes sense. It gives you breathing room. But what about the financial side? Moving is expensive. You have to pay a new deposit, hire movers, maybe pay agent fees. How does the penalty clause protect you from those costs?
This is where the contract really acts as your shield. If a landlord decides to terminate the lease early without a valid legal reason, such as you failing to pay rent or damaging the property, they are committing a breach of contract. A standard contract will state that in the event of an early termination by the landlord, they must return your full security deposit plus pay you a penalty fee. This penalty is typically equivalent to 1 or 2 months of rent.
So they don't just return your deposit, they actually have to compensate you for the disruption.
Exactly. It's not a favour. It's a legal remedy for breach of contract. When they ask you to leave early, they are essentially asking you to agree to modify or end the contract. Understanding this changes the dynamic completely. You aren't being kicked out. They are proposing a business transaction, and you have the right to negotiate the terms of that transaction.
That shift in mindset is huge. It takes you from being a victim of circumstance to an active negotiator. But negotiating in Vietnam can feel tricky, especially for expats who might not be familiar with local customs. How do you approach this conversation without turning it into a hostile confrontation?
Vietnamese culture values harmony, đi hòa vi khí, so avoid threatening legal action right away. Start with empathy. Your landlord may be facing a crisis like financial trouble or needing the property for a family member. This approach helps maintain good communication.
So you acknowledge their situation first.
Yes, exactly. You can say something like, I understand you are facing a difficult situation and need the apartment back, but then you immediately follow up with your reality. However, finding a new home, arranging movers, and transferring my life on short notice is also a significant challenge and expense for me. Let's look at our contract to see how we can resolve this fairly for both of us.
It keeps the conversation professional and grounded in the agreement. But what if they try to keep the negotiation casual? Like, they keep sending voice notes or quick messages on Zalo promising things verbally.
That is a trap you want to avoid. While Zalo is great for daily communication, it is not the place to finalize legal agreements. Your first step in the negotiation checklist should be moving the conversation to an official medium like email. Send a polite email summarizing what was discussed. State the exact proposed move-out date and ask for a clear written breakdown of the financial compensation, including the return of the deposit and the penalty fee. Having a written paper trail is essential if things get complicated later.
And what about the actual costs of moving? Can you negotiate for things beyond just the standard penalty fee?
If the contract penalty is 1 month's rent, but moving costs more, you can ask the landlord to help with relocation expenses. You can also negotiate for more time, like 45 or 60 days, especially if you have pets or kids in school. Landlords often prefer a longer timeline over a tenant who can't leave.
It really is about finding that balance between standing your ground and being cooperative. But while you are negotiating, you also need to face the reality that you do need to find a new place eventually. The clock is ticking. Fortunately, Thao Dien has a very active community. How can expats leverage this local network to their advantage?
The community network here is incredibly powerful. The moment you realize you need to move, you should activate what I call the Thao Dien Rescue Network. Start with the local Facebook groups. Groups like Thao Dien Housing, An Phu, and Thao Dien Neighbors, or Expats in Ho Chi Minh City, are gold mines. Post your situation clearly and honestly. You don't need to air dirty laundry, but you can say, "My landlord is breaking the lease early, and I need to find a new 2-bedroom. Pet-friendly apartment in Thao Dien as soon as possible."
I've seen those posts, and the response is usually overwhelming. People really do want to help.
They do. You'll get recommendations from other tenants, but more importantly, you'll get direct messages from reputable local housing agents. When you connect with these agents, be direct. Tell them, "I am a motivated, urgent client who needs to move quickly." Agents love motivated clients because they know you are ready to sign. They will fast-track you to the top of their list and show you apartments that are vacant and ready for immediate move-in, rather than wasting time on properties that won't be ready for months.
It sounds like a stressful situation can actually turn into an opportunity to find a place that might suit you even better. Maybe a better view, a better layout, or just a fresh start.
Exactly. It's all about perspective. If you remember the 3 key words, contract, calm, and community, you can handle this transition smoothly. Your contract gives you the legal leverage. Staying calm protects the relationship and allows for productive negotiation, and the community helps you land on your feet.
That is a great way to summarize it. It's easy to feel isolated when something like this happens in a foreign country, but remembering that you have rights and a community behind you makes all the difference. It also makes you wonder about the broader picture of expat life here, the constant flow of people, the changing real estate market, and how we adapt to these sudden shifts. It's a reminder of how resilient we have to be.
It really is. Every move, even an unexpected one, is a new chapter. And who knows, your next balcony might have an even better view of the sunset over the river.
I love that outlook. Thank you for sharing these insights today. To everyone listening, if you've ever gone through a sudden eviction or had to negotiate with a landlord in Saigon, we want to hear your stories. How did you handle it? What worked for you? Share your experiences in the comments. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might need this advice. Stay safe, stay calm, and enjoy the Thao Dien breeze. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.